Najiuliza tu which topic goes first. Hi, welcome to Through the Detours podcast by Wendy Lois. My tribe, I see you, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming back to listen to me. If you're a first timer here, karibu sana. This is a space where we share positive energy and just try and make life a load lighter by having truthful, real, raw, triggering conversations that lead us to a positive sphere where we just spread positivity. And today I want to trigger you a bit. Impostor syndrome. Okay? So if you downplay what you do, people will definitely downplay who you are. And this is a quote I read a while back, and it got me thinking, wow, really? Because there are quite a number of us who have walked into rooms where we deserve to be there because we are worthy of being there. But then guess what happens? Imposter syndrome. And therefore you go there and downplay yourself, and people definitely downplay who you are because you were not confident enough in what you do. And that kills the vibe completely. So let me tell you a story. Basically my world is the world of talking. So I do all works talking, and sometimes I MC at events. And as I speak to you, I speak to myself, because I've had calls where somebody says, oh, I have this event and I would, really like you to honor us with your presence. We love how you articulate and communicate. Are you available? That's always the first question. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much available. So the giant in the room comes in. So how do you quote yourself? So how much will you charge us? So the best I do is take a pause and say, let me call you back, okay? And it's almost like I want to volunteer. I appreciate the kukula exposure yenye nimekula. But the truth is, I don't think I am yet to fully master the art of confidently speaking my worth. And imposter syndrome kicks in. So you get the phone back on and you're like, oh, how much can you give me? So you throw the ball back at them. So you're giving them the power to determine how much you're worth and what your value is. All right? And for me, my greatest lesson has been and will continue to be the biggest disservice one can do to themselves, because the power is given to you, but literally because you are not confident in who you are and what you do, you take the power right back into their hands and say, okay, so how much can you give me? And in negotiations, you've already lost the head start, because then you can only negotiate from whatever it is they will give you. Yeah, so let's give random figures. So then they say, oh, it's okay, you come for this gig, I can only give you 10 G's. And truly the events where you go and it's like 100 for 3 hours. Yeah, but remember, I lost the rights and the upper hand for negotiation because of imposter syndrome. Yes, you and I both. You also do that. You know you do that, right? Yes, you do that. So it can only be negotiated downward. Yeah. And then they'll start justifying, oh, we'll pay for your cab, it's okay, and after all, hata hutasimama sana. It's not that hectic. But the truth is, I realized when you downplay yourself from the onset, when you don't have the courage to believe in who you are and to believe in what you do, then definitely the only other option you've given to the other people is to downplay who you are. And there are different dynamics to this that we can give examples of, even in relationships and friendships, you know. When I look back at the relationships that have suffered the most is because I took my power off of my hands and gave them to my partner, that now they can dictate and negotiate and literally tell you who you are. Are you worthy? Are you enough? Imposter syndrome kicks in and we take our own control and give it to somebody else to control us. And that just shows how much confidence we lack primarily in ourselves. And then we give it out. And we know right in our hearts, we are settling, not taking enough of what we deserve to be given. And as I have been journeying through, trying to navigate through those odds, because they feel like they're odd moments, because wow, so how do you tell somebody, oh no, sorry, but I can't do that, you know? This takes a lot of self-work. Let's start there. And the number one self-work that gives a basis and a great foundation to this is just being confident. And number one is mastering the art of whatever it is that you're doing, that you show up authentically and you know you can execute and deliver. Then that gives you the confidence. So when you walk into any room, you know that you deserve to be there. You are there because you are worthy of being in those spaces, and therefore you can negotiate and upplay whatever it is that you are doing. And therefore it has a ripple effect on how people treat you. And generally in life, you know, life is not for the faint-hearted, to be very honest. We can purpose to be positive as much as we can, but in life, it can really bulldoze you around. So the art of not having any say in anything that you do, just following the wind, you're okay, is dangerous grounds to trade on, because then your identity is dictated and stipulated by the external forces around you. Even generally, just you as a person, we can mention career, we can mention relationships, we can mention even family. Do you know why you don't have a seat at the table? Because you think you do not deserve to have a seat at the table. But the truth is, you do. When you show up authentically, they can only be one you. And show up knowing that you earned to be right where you are. So listen to me. I want you to note this. I am not saying that you slack, then you go demanding for positions or for space in the room. I'm saying that you make yourself the best possible version that you can be of you, then rightfully earn those positions. Then after that, there's no looking back. There is no downplaying yourself. NO. Imposter syndrome, out you go. You know, and I'm talking about the people who work on themselves and have what it takes, but in themselves they feel like they are not deserving of the good things that come their way. So imposter syndrome kicks in and you downplay who you are, you downplay what you do. That's the only way that people can see you, you know. Every time you're at a round table and, you know, suggestions are being asked for, learn to stand up, show up, speak up, you know. And it could start by easily talking to yourself, because then we are looking at, if we are at point A and at the highest of imposter syndrome, then how do we journey and navigate through this to be able to be confident and show up in our best version, right? It starts by doing it within yourself. And I think in this life, the greatest force that you have to reckon, and the greatest work, like the greatest engine that any human has, is in themselves. It all starts here. So if you speak positively into yourself, if you give yourself the best of whatever it is that you're talking about, and this can be quoted in different quarters, you know, and really do it to the best possible limits and capabilities that can be there, you start rightfully earning your places. And do you know why I'm laughing? Because as I speak, I'm just thinking about myself, and I'm like, really, Wendy? Oh wow, really, you're gonna do that? So what I'm saying is, it takes a lot of work. It really does take a lot of work. But if you intentionally start growing yourself through that, and it's part of forming healthy boundaries around you, that you will not be in spaces where they're downplaying you, and therefore you cannot be in your own space if you downplay yourself. So the work checks in, and it's a step at a time. Then sooner or later, I really admire people who are in my industries, and when I look at their rate cards, I'm like, wow, you are bugging it. But it's because they got there through the work that they are doing and the confidence that they have in them. You know, we've heard of many stories of people who say, I got to where I am because of the confidence of who I am, and I believed in myself, and it came to fruition. So it's quite some work, to be very honest. But I think for me, primarily, what I even came to just be very vocal and very certain and very passionate about is, holistically, as a person, you cannot afford to let the rest of the world dictate who you are, your opinions, what your beliefs. You know, your belief system is being manipulated by external factors. It means, therefore, through the different seasons and transitions and places that you are, your voice is being shaped by where you are, or the circumstances, or the environment, and that takes away the value of who you are. But if you constantly show up authentically, it gives you some high sense of confidence that allows you to be able to rightfully ask for what is rightfully yours. And this begins by believing, one, in who you are and what you do, with your flaws, with your highs and lows. It's allowed. That's the recipe of life. It's not about perfection. It's about your authenticity. Being authentic in your own mistakes, being authentic in your own mishaps. Then you show up, then you boss up and ask for what you want. We're gonna work on that, right? And the only way you can boss up and show up here again is if you're listening to us from a podcast platform. Click the plus button and join the tribe. A tribe where we are trying to be confident and ask for what is rightfully ours, and earn the seats on those tables. And if you're on YouTube and you're privileged enough to see all the facial expressions and just be here with us and share in this community, subscribe to this channel. And up to that point, I will see you on the next episode.